All right, what up guys? I just finished my second round at the Waterloo Open. I shot +4 today, 76. Yesterday I shot +2, 74. I'm gonna miss the cut by a mile. It's probably gonna be like 7 or 8 under. Obviously frustrated, obviously getting tired of what seems like the same narrative. This is now my 5th tournament of the summer. Missed all the cuts, and then I also played 2 one-day qualifiers, and I missed those cuts as well. So I think I played 12 competitive rounds. I've shot even once, 2 over like 3 times, 3 over like 2 times, 4 over a couple times, and then like 6 and 8 over once and twice. So nothing under par. That's incredibly frustrating. I feel like I'm having a hard time putting into words how these rounds are getting away from me. Yesterday I just started bogey, bogey, bogey 3 in a row, which was really frustrating, and so I actually shot 1 under the rest of the day from there, and that's how almost all my rounds have been. These like horrific starts, just silly stuff, and then having to really hang tough and battle back just to even shoot a decent score the rest of the way. Today was different. Today I think it was like 5 pars in a row to start, something like that, and really frustrating to not be under par. I feel like I figured something out between yesterday and today, just with my mood and energy. I just kind of, I went to the gym and just made up my mind to really commit again to restarting a lot of the habits that I've been losing control of this summer. All the healthy things that keep me feeling amazing and having so much energy to be doing basically 2 jobs full time right now, with all the traveling and pro golf, and then all of the brand deals and communication with companies and outreach and managing incoming requests, and trying to turn this, documenting of my whole golf journey into a monetizable thing through social media, where I'm helping people and simultaneously earning enough money to keep playing. Like, it's a lot, and if you guys have been following me this summer, you can probably see how hard I'm pushing and how much stress I'm carrying on a daily basis, trying to, take care of all my responsibilities in these 2 separate areas. And it's, no surprise that I'm not able to get 100% out of myself in both areas. So kind of just give or take any given week, something's going to do better. It's either going to be social media that gets most of my attention or the golf that gets most of my attention. And to really have great results on the golf course, the thing I could do to give myself the best chances would be to throw myself under the trash can. But obviously I'm not going to do that, and obviously there's a lot of purpose behind what I'm doing with social media, and without getting completely into that again, there's plenty of other videos of me talking about that. That's just one thing I will say, is I don't feel as prepared as I'd like to be for tournaments. But with that being said, I know that the game I have in my pocket right now, I'll call it like a C game, it should break par every time. Like it should be, and it is taking like freaking miracles to keep me from breaking par. And I don't think that's like a bias just because I'm talking about myself and I think I should be playing better. I feel like I'm pretty logically viewing the way my rounds are going about and the way my competitors' rounds are going about. And today, for instance, I don't really think I did anything different than my playing partner, and he shot 6 under and made 1 bogey. So he's like 8 or 9 under for the tournament. I watched the quality of shots that he hit. I hit a couple loose ones, so did he. I think mainly he just was clean inside of like 10 and 12 feet with putts, made an awful lot of putts, and maybe just slightly closer on his chipping proximity than me, but I think I actually drove the ball better and probably was in better positions quite a lot of times, and just kept walking away with different scores than him. And yeah, obviously you don't want to compare yourself to others, but looking at the leaderboard of this tournament, where yesterday I was like 2 positions away from dead freaking last out of 130 or 40 guys, and that was shooting 2 over. So obviously this course is playing like an absolute, cakewalk, easiest course on the planet. Leaders at 10 under, like cut's gonna be 8 under. So with that being said, I'm just sitting here scratching my head. Well, I'm not, because I write it down. I'm not just like, well, I don't know what happened out there. Like, I do, but it's hard for me to justify the score I'm shooting. So quick little recap, right? Today, first hole par 5, just short of the green in 2, and chipped it to 5 feet above the pin instead of below the pin, which is not ideal. Just let it slide away from me. Second hole, hit a wedge to 6 feet, misread it. It broke more than I thought. Should have played it outside the cup. Third hole, par 5, not the best drive. A little bit of tree trouble on the right-hand side. Caught my second shot, so I wind up having 100 yards left. Loved the shot, but this is a constant theme all summer. The rough out here is different than home. The ball jumps and doesn't spin out of the rough with wedges, and I landed this one probably pin high, and it rolled 12 feet by, which was just enough to go off the back edge of the green. So I walk away with par, and it's a hole that's probably driver 8-iron with a good drive, and it just felt like, I mean, I hit the driver well. I hit like 2 or 3 drives this whole tournament that were poor. Other than that, pretty much everything was acceptable. I didn't hit any hazard balls off the tee or with approach shots. So it just seems like it should have been hard to really leak strokes, but yet I somehow walked away making like, 9 or 10 bogeys, something like that, which is a lot for 36 holes for feeling like I hardly did anything wrong. So yeah, that's a par 5 that, in my practice round and yesterday, you're sitting in the middle of the fairway with like a 9 or an 8-iron. So it should be impossible to walk away with more than birdie, but I did, just barely found like the one place on the hole that's got a little bit of tree trouble right, which wasn't even a bad shot since my shape is trying to hit a fade. Didn't work out. So it's like you can expect things like that to happen maybe once or twice per round where you're really like, kicking yourself like, God, how did I lose a stroke there? But to have it happen like 5, 6, 7 times around every round, that's where this insane frustration is coming from, where I'm just like, it seems like things are disproportionately happening in my golf game compared to others. But I know that type of thinking is a trap, comparing yourself to others and thinking that, like in reality, if you just hit the ball perfect every time, like it's impossible for anything too bad to happen. Anyway, kind of getting on the tangent here, but let's see. It looks like I missed a 9-footer on the next hole for birdie, but again, I think it was slightly above the hole. Next hole, 3-putt from 35 feet, par 3. So I think I've hit like almost all the greens so far. That one was a misjudge. Downhill, thought it was gonna be quicker than it was. Left myself, 8 feet or something ridiculous from 35 feet, missed it. Par the next hole, par 5, just drove it through the fairway into the rough. It's one of the longer ones that I had to hit like a 3-wood into out of the rough, so you're not necessarily guaranteed to hit the green. So I had a little pitch from 30 yards in the rough on the right, and again, those pitches are kind of tough, especially if they're like downhill out of the rough. I'm trying to land it short, and these are some of the things I'm talking about here. This one, it just kicked dead left. And I mean, yeah, I guess it would be great to just be on the green in 2-putt, but most guys are just gonna get around the green and get up and down like 75% of the time at a course like this. And for me, it felt like that happened like 1 or 2 times out of the 10 par 5s that I played these last 2 days. And again, it was like hardly ever out of position off the tee. Just hard for me to figure why there wasn't more ease and flow in just converting some of these birdies. And that's what made the rounds so like just droning and slow, is that the holes where you're supposed to take advantage, it's almost just like a guaranteed, here you go, here's a free birdie. Like there's 5 par 5s out here, they're all reachable. 4 of them are very reachable, like a 4-iron or less on the way in. So, you expect as a pro golfer, if you're hitting it decent and putting it decent, like you're gonna probably play those 4 under conservatively. Like, not the case. I probably played them over par both days. And so anyway, that leaves me, I just wind up shooting 1 over on the front, even with like an 18-foot par save on the 9th hole, because again, I hit a little hybrid layup off the tee that clipped a tree on the right. It would have been a fine shot because it's drawing back into play. Kind of a tighter tee shot there anyway. It's one of the only holes with some real character on this course. Hits the tree, falls down like 150 yards off the tee. I just have to chip up by the green, or hit like 180 yards, like laser through the trees up by the green, I should say. Great shot, honestly. It was super risky. And then still, it's insanely difficult bump and run underneath another tree, 18-footer par save. Like, just a lot of freaking work to be 1 over. Whereas I watched my playing partner cruise to like 2 or 3 under, as you should, with just a couple easy par 5 birdies and no mistakes, no bogeys. And then 10, great drive, 30 yards out. I probably misjudged my landing spot by 3 yards. It's a front pin, downhill chip, green runs away from me, and these greens all have little like upslopes on the front. So if you hit it into the upslope, it just sticks and comes back off the front. So if you hit it on top of it, it's gonna bound and roll far. And so I wasn't off by much, just trying to be kind of cute with it. And I wind up, it's not even on the green. It's like a 30-foot putt just from the fringe. So that feels like one that you should convert more than 50% of the time. And I don't even feel like I hit a bad shot. And I wind up, you know, lag putting myself for par. Next hole, I hit it to the middle of the green, par 3, 9-iron. Doesn't really seem like it should have a spin, but it comes off the front. Again, a lot of these pins in the front. Same thing I just described with that little upslope that the ball can come off the front of. And a lot of these slopes are like 5-6% around the front of the green, which is a ton. So comes off the front. And my chips, that's one thing I noticed that I want to work on. I'm just holding the blade a little too closed. I'm like opening it before I take my swing, but I know that my tendency is going to be to close down and flex. So the blade is coming through too close, they're coming off too low, and sometimes they spin, sometimes they don't. Just depends on the contact or the slope of the green I'm hitting into. It's just not very, like, just straightforward stock chips. I'm like barely getting them inside of 10 feet, so that hurts. So yeah, this one was like a 7-footer, but it had a ton of slope right to left. And yeah, it lipped out, but it's just like really challenging to have this much work for pars. And then on the birdie holes, none of them working out to where it's like, oh yeah, easy 2-putt birdie. Maybe I got to look at eagle. I don't think I had a single look at eagle this whole tournament, and there were 10 reachable par 5s, and I don't think I'm hitting bad shots. So that's crazy to me. And you would think that, okay, maybe 1 or 2 rounds that happens, but not like 12 times where you're just, golf just feels hard right now. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. There's stretches where even the best in the world go through where they would probably be speaking similarly. I mean, there's levels to it. They probably wouldn't be averaging like 4 over or whatever, but it's a game that is largely played in your head, and I wouldn't say that I'm in a bad headspace by any means. Like, my energy today was incredible. This was a 7:30 a.m. tee time. Barely got any sleep because I chose to go to the gym and try to restart some of my habits last night, journaling and things like that. But it felt great. I'm glad that I'm like grabbing life back by the balls again and taking control of what I can control and the things that I know I can do that are going to boost my mood, boost my energy, boost my engagement with what I'm doing, and make me feel happy and fulfilled and like I'm chasing my purpose. Like, I've been stuck in that place for the last 1 to 2 months almost completely because I've had such insane discipline to adhere to all these habits, and just slightly kind of been sliding the wrong way this week. Not quite eating as clean and feeling a little more distracted and a little less focused on wanting to work. And it's because nothing's working out for me yet, right? Like, yeah, there's been progress, but my whole life has been about like, yeah, make some progress, take a couple steps forward, and then slip back. Something crazy happens, or you self-sabotage, and it seems like something crazy happened, but it's just such a fucking old narrative. I'm so fucking sick of, like, I work hard, man. Like, I'm a hard-working kid. I have discipline. I have self-awareness. I have all these things. I feel like a lot of people look at me with envy, wishing they had some of the things I had, or wishing they had the potential I have. And I don't mean that to sound overly confident. I'm just, this is just things that I've heard throughout my life that make me frustrated to not have more accomplishments under my belt at this age in life. I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm not just getting started with pro golf. It's like, frustrated, in case you can't tell. But basically, I had a lot of energy to apply to today's round, and a great mood, and I was trying to treat every single hole as if it was the 18th, which always seems to get a little bit more of my attention, a little more of my effort, because it's your last chance to do something with the day. And so that was great. It's like there's no quit switch. There was no like, well, now I'm 1 over through 6, or 1 over through 9, or 2 over through 11, or 3 over through 12, like, well, now I'm gonna quit, now I'm gonna quit. Like, there's none of that. And I guarantee you almost all of these guys out here, they do have that. They're just not in that position as much as me. But if they were 1 over, 2 over through 10, 11 holes, they would be losing their fucking mind, because their confidence level in their game and themselves is so high up there that they're just like flabbergasted that the round's not going better. And I'm just sitting here, you know, mild-mannered, you know, humble little Romo, just fucking getting punched in the face every single day. And that wears on you, and that's where like the loss of discipline and drive was kind of coming from this week. You just start to get cynical and wonder, like, dude, what is the point? Why do I hold myself to such a high standard and work so hard, like it just doesn't work out. Like, what's the point? Like, maybe I should have a shitty attitude. Like, it seems to be working fine for a lot of these guys. Like, that's just, obviously none of that is constructive, productive thinking. It's a comparison trap of comparing your journey to others. These guys have probably not taken as much time off as I have, and have probably been committed to pro golf for quite a long time. And even if not, who cares? I don't really know their story, and it doesn't relate to me at all. I'd like to learn from it if I can apply some of it to my own life, but just to compare my scores to others for the sake of doing it is pretty useless. And so anyway, trying to avoid that trap. I mean, I literally just finished my round 5 minutes ago, and I finished bogey today, which was a crappy taste. And I guess I'll continue with the recap really quick. So 12, middle of the fairway, 195 yards in, par 5, 6-iron. Just walked off with bogey on the 11th. This is the one where yesterday, I guess I didn't recap yesterday's round for you, but I shanked a 4-iron from the middle of the fairway into like a little clump of trees on the right, walk away with bogey when you should be hitting the green 2-putting for birdie easily. That was the 3rd bogey in a row for what I started with yesterday, because I started on the 10th hole, so I played 10, 11, 12, and I went bogey. And I swear to you, it's almost impossible to justify hitting the same shot without it being in your head, but it wasn't in my head. It felt like it was completely a product of the ball sitting down in the fairway and me feeling like it was going to be hard to get the leading edge on the ball with this 6-iron. So swinging like a little bit harder and a little bit steeper on it, which led to that hand path kicking out, trying to cut more down and across it, so that expose the hosel a tiny bit. 6-iron straight into the trees on the right again, chip out, wedge from 110 yards. Loved it, you know, landed short of pin high. It somehow releases 25 feet from the middle of the fairway with a full lob wedge. Makes me question if like my grooves are off. It's like impossible for me to spin a full wedge or any version of a lob wedge right now, which just doesn't make sense. But anyway, yeah, bogey, middle of the fairway. And it's like, okay, maybe once per tournament something crazy like that happens. But again, this is like the 3rd par 5 of the day that happened to me on. Yesterday, I had a par 5 where it was a good drive. You know, it was like 2 yards off the fairway, winds up right next to a tree trunk, where I can't even take a swing, just have to chip out. It's just like, it's always something, and it always feels like it's, wow, that was crazy. I just can't believe that happened. Like, I've got an explanation for how that happened. I'm sure it won't happen next time. And so it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, I guess, where maybe it's just somewhere in the back of my head, like, I'm just not fully expecting things to go well, because they're just not. Like, I'm seeing so much carnage every single day that I tee it up in a competitive round that it's like, how could you just expect nothing but great things to happen? Like, I bet one round would do so much for me, and that's why I'm so bummed that all the weather that happened at the Bluffs last week kind of sabotaged that awesome round I had going on the second day, and even the second half of the first day. I started 8 over through 9, 2 under on the second 9 to shoot 6 over that day, and then I'm 3 under through like 10 or 11 in the second round after a bunch of rain delays and stops and starts. And then that one I wound up completely losing after having to finish all the way to like 9:30 at night the day of that tournament, and then coming back at 7:30 the next day to play 2 holes. Next thing you know, I wound up shooting 2 over, so 5 over in those last like 6 or 7 holes. And even just that would have been amazing to shoot 4 or 5 under, remind myself like, hey, you're pretty freaking good at golf, dude. Like, you belong out here. Because I think I do, and I can talk like I do, but all I can say after seeing this many scores be high in a row is that something deep inside of me, in my belief system and how I view myself, is just not gelling with what I'm trying to do. Like, it just must be this deep-rooted thing where this is the way I've always played golf. I've never made cuts. I've never had success at this. It's relative, right? Like, yeah, I did play Division I college golf, but I was a walk-on, and it took me 3 years, and I barely started tournaments. Yes, I have won 3 times professionally, but they were all small local tournaments and just one-day events and really small fields and tiny little events that weren't a big deal. I've made 1 cut in like a main, state open type event. This was the Monterey Open, and this was in 2018. The best scores I've shot are 63 and 4 in tournaments. They were on par 70, and they were a long time ago, like 2013, 2014. The most recent 7 under round I shot was like summer of 2018, just a 1-day qualifier. And you got guys out here winning and being competitive or shooting rounds like that one or multiple times each tournament. You know, you pretty much need to get to 15 or 20 under for all these 3-day events. And you pretty much need to get to 5 under to make the cuts. And right now, even just shooting like 2-3 under, you know, I'm not seeing those rounds at all. And so it's building blocks, right? You got to take step A and then B and then C. And so right now, the fact that I have hardly turned in a scorecard that was better than 3 over after being out here for 35, 40 days, and my comeback to golf being like 2 or 3 months going now, that wears on you. And you know, I'm not a robot. Like, you know, my brain is making small notes here and there of these rounds, and I guess it's probably starting to creep through into my mentality. Just feeling like, man, you're just not that good. You're not ready. You're not XYZ. It's not true, but the more and more like I can keep up with habits and just simply practice more golf, work out harder, sleep more, and take better care of myself, the more my self-belief system will upgrade, and I'll view myself like a high performer when I am a high performer. Right now, I'm just kind of like hanging on by a thread, trying to control 7 million different things at once that I'm working on, and it kind of has to be that way. I don't get help with all these things until I've proven to people that I'm a big enough deal that it's worth helping me, because they can make money from me too. That's kind of the way this works, and there's no guarantee that you get there. So I'm just like on overdrive, trying to manage everything on my own right now. I'm on the road. I'm traveling every 3 or 4 days to a new place. And yeah, everyone else is doing the same thing, but I've got the secondary thing I'm working on as well, of how I'm trying to sponsor myself through social media. And it's just a lot. And I think it's important to note that I've come a long way in like 2 short months from being a complete pile of crap that was unbelievably lazy and unmotivated and tired and just kind of dejected and over life and just almost ready to completely give in, throw in the towel, and just go work at McDonald's and, you know, be super regretful when I'm 70 years old that I had all this potential and couldn't quite push through the hardest parts and figure it out. Like, that's really where I was literally 2 months ago. So now to be a pretty high performing professional athlete, managing travel on the road and pitching myself, you know, as an advertising platform to a zillion different brands and earning respect of a lot of people very quickly, and my own respect, pretty fucking good. But it's tempting to just simply look at the numbers, which is what I'm sure a lot of people that don't know that much about me would do. If you just came across one post here and there, you'd be like, wow, this kid sucks. Like, I can't believe that people follow him or listen to what he has to say. Like, clearly nothing that he's talking about works, or else his results would be better. Like, yeah, it's super tempting to let myself think like that. Again, completely useless thought train. Second that type of shit starts to come up, I need to throw it in the fucking trash can and lock the key away and throw it off the cliff. So I'm trying to continue pushing as hard as I can, being patient, showing up every day with a great attitude. I wake up every morning and I'm giving it everything I've got. So I guess if I keep doing that, that's really all I can ask for. Always try my best. This is what I talked about at the beginning of the journey, how it was, you know, not going to be about the results for me. It was not going to be about forcing the outcomes I wanted. It was just going to be about trying my best at all these different things that I was doing, and knowing that this summer was just kind of a step A starting block for me to try to get to live the life I want to live for a long time. I was fully willing to concede missing every cut. I don't think it's going to happen. I just feel like I'm a better golfer than that, and eventually, like, things will balance out, and I'll have some rounds where it's like, wow, you know, you actually got everything out of that round you deserved. Like, there's a nice 6 under. Oh, nice job. You made the cut. Like, here's a little confidence, and maybe next week we make another cut and another check. And like, I really think that that's possible, although it's frustrating that the summer is halfway over now and I haven't seen any of that, and it flies by like that. But again, just trying to stay committed to where I started this summer at, which was, you know, the golf scores literally don't matter. I'm already winning just by being out here. This whole lifestyle was gone. It was dead. There was zero chance that I would ever get to come back out here and chase my dream again. So I'm already winning to even get to experience this. And if I do it right, which I think I am, I just need to keep going and be consistent long enough to really have the results stack up and prove to people that what I'm building here is, you know, a worthwhile thing to invest in. With all that being said, I think by the end of the summer, you know, the momentum will just keep building. I'll just continue to be a more happy and complete and balanced human being, you know, feeling like I'm doing something valuable with my time on earth, and it's helping people, and it's got me financially stable enough to do what I want to do with my life. I think I'm well on my way, and I just have to keep going and not let things like today and all these tournaments knock me down so much that I just like stop doing everything, because then it won't happen. I just have to, like, you know, turn the phone off right after I finish filming this and get back to work, right? I got a workout to hit today. I need to journal about really what happened in this round, call a few people, coaches, parents, work on posts for today, and then move into like recovery mode and planning for the next event, which starts next Friday. And I've got to travel between here and there like 6 hours. I got to figure out where I'm going to stay with my host family. I need to reply to a lot of emails. There's things to do. And so as long as I can continue reminding myself what's really important here, reminding myself of my why, and, you know, I'm doing this not only for myself, but also for my family and friends and support system. There's a lot of people invested in me and a lot of things I want to do once I'm in a successful enough position in life to do it. Remind myself of that whenever I feel like taking my foot off the gas, whenever I feel like it's not working out, whenever I start comparing myself to others, whenever I start getting upset that my results aren't the same as others and I feel like I'm just as good, if not better. Like, that's where I got to stay, and, you know, stay tuned. I bet the end result's gonna be pretty freaking cool. But again, not the most important thing. I need to just soak this in. I'm in Waterloo, Iowa right now. That's pretty damn cool in and of itself. Road tripping, challenging myself in all these different ways, pushing myself through the game of golf and fitness and mindfulness to be the best I can be, to set an example for others. I know I'm doing all those things, and I'm gonna keep doing that. Thank you guys for rocking with me. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.